Okay, so one thing I want to show you, and I guess we'll have to keep our circle down here so that disappears. We have the 3 fretboards here, have the double cage playaways that for some reason they ended up on top because I thought that would be longer, but guess what? The modals are just as long. So when I'm making a chart, you see I have to have my, my little video field here. So these guys are the longer ones, and the short one is the regular cage system. These are rolled out interwoven cages. Okay, they overlap. They have overlap notes normally in the cage system. So my diagrams usually will have, so if you look at E, D, C, A, G, E, D. Okay, well there's the word cage. C, A, G, E, D. Right? You say, well, that's as complicated as it's going to get. It doesn't look like they're overlapping. But they are. C is overlapping with A is overlapping with G is overlapping with E, and E is overlapping with D. By the way, I have a couple of colors for E. I like the orange, the yellow, mustard yellow, where when we do the E, where I'm usually playing root, and then when we get to the Locrian, but it's the same exact box, I use the Locrian color, the off blue. So we have cage spelled there, okay, but up here on the playway, these are the longest ones. We're not going to spell cage. It's going to go in what? Fourths or fifths? Fourths. It's going to go in fourths. Fourth of E is A, fourth of A is D, fourth of D is G, fourth of G is C, and the caged fourth of C is E. So that works because it's using the old cage system just in double cages. So let's look at that. Now, the first cage you might want to learn is this right here, the E cage. Okay. In the key of C, I have it up here, but you can play it anywhere. So if this was the E, the 7th in the E cage, what key would that be in? That would be in the key of F, because E is the 7th of F, right? Okay. The piano's doing things because there's a bunch of stuff on it. Okay, so this is where your fret nut is. Alright, and remember, we're taking advantage or exploiting the fact that I'm tired. It took me 2 hours to make this morning, but I'm going to use that hopefully to avoid trying to explain things too complicated and keeping it simple. So this is where your fret nut is. My guitar is down tuned to have these extra lower register notes. Okay, so middle C would be here. This would be my middle C. This is my lower C, and this is 2 octaves down C. Whereas all you can access with the C is middle C here. Okay, and then down here would be an octave down C. Big deal, right? So what we have is the Locrian box. If we're going to treat E as the 7, then we're in the key of F. So it's 7 root 2 3 4 5 6 7 root 2 3 4. Warp up for the 5 6, then 7 root 2. You see how the tuning third has brought these guys over. So it didn't go towards the fret nut because the top 2, where it would have drifted over with that 7, the top 2 have come back to us. So we have a nice Locrian box there, a nice square build. So the tuning third isn't always a problem. It just moves things in one direction or the other. Actually moves things in one direction. okay, to the right 1 fret. But that makes for good things to happen, such as in the C box, where we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the tuning third brings the 7 root 2 over, where usually 5, 6 you'd have to go to the left 1 fret in the P4 tuning section of the guitar. So with the guitar, with the first 4 strings are P4, then in between the 4th, at the 4th and the 5th string, we have a root to 3 interval here, and then we go back to root to 4. So here I like to show it on roots here. The lowest string down here, E string, root to 4. Then we have root to 4. Okay, and we have root to 4. Then we have root to 3. Then we have root to 4. Okay, so that there's that, we call it the tuning warp, because it kind of, you take the pattern you're playing and you just warp it up 1 fret to finish off. So what were we talking about here? We played the Locrian in that box. So that's what I wanted to show you about this particular cage. And it's often, it's the E-shaped cage. If we're in the key of E and you wanted to play an E-shaped E, you wouldn't be able to access the 7, the 3, the 6, the 2, and the 7 of that scale, treating E as the root. But if we played it up here, now F's the root, same on the diagram, F's the root, and we can access the 7th, so we can do our E shape there. So that's why I show that on the diagram for reference there. Now, and these are your modals. Okay, so if you have an E-shaped root, which is 5 root 3, it's going to be first inversion, but here it is, root 3, 5 root 3, 5 root. Then you'll have a G minor shaped Dorian second, okay, which is 2, 4, 6. There's your G minor shape. So you know, do we have a G major shape here? We don't have a G major shape, but we could play one. If we're in an E-shaped F right there, and we wanted to play a G major shape chord, what would that be? That would be a second major. So you'd be taking it out of the key, right? So if you play an E major shape, E major shaped F here, and then you play the G, you're taking it out of the key. You're actually making that, putting it back into the key of C. Okay, so we don't have the G major shaped modal in the modals for the Locrian box. So this box is often misunderstood. It was long misunderstood by myself because I always looked at it as the root box. Now we actually have a root box. So we looked at this in the old cage system, which is this is, by the way, tripentatonic. So these are all these things I thought up because I guess guitar fascinated me. It really did. Okay, so now we've got what we call the double cage playaways. Now this is where it gets interesting. Okay, so with the double cage playaways, first of all, I haven't shown, we're going to be playing starting here in the root box. Now we have a genuine root box, Ionian box, root 2, 3. Okay, and then the second string up is 4, 5, 6. The third string up is 7 root 2. The fourth string up is 3, 4, 5. Okay, the fifth string up is 6, 7 root. And then 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we started out root. That's all those notes, not counting any of these notes, but I didn't want to exit out